Hi everyone and welcome back to another lesson in the Scratch Tower Defense game. I am Masi.
And I'm Zach.
And today we're going to finally jump into Scratch and start building our project. Okay, I'm excited. Zach, where do we begin?
Well, I think the first step will be importing our hero, our guard. So the assets that you downloaded. Let's start with him.
Okay. Actually, no, wait. Let's start with the fort because the guard needs to stand on the fort.
That is true.
Okay, so let's
I got a bit ahead of myself.
Let's head into Scratch. So once it's installed, you just double click on it and it will launch up. And every time we start, we'll get this cat. And we can just click on this button to delete him. Because we're not going to need the cat in this game. Okay, so to add in a new sprite, we'll hover over this cat icon. And at the top, we have an upload sprite button. Click on that. And let's go into the sprites folder. And we'll scroll down till we see the fort. Now, if you've looked at these, you'll notice that Zach has provided us with a few animations for many of the different characters.
Mm-hmm.
And even the fort has a destroyed fort costume.
Which is when you lose.
Okay, got it. So we don't want that one. We're going to start off with the regular fort and then click on open. Okay, and that's going to import the fort into our game. But there's a few things we need to do. It's obviously not in the right position, so we're going to have to position it. And while we're at it, we'll also get rid of the white background and maybe add some grass.
Some green.
Some green. I'll just add a flat color because I'm lazy. So to position the fort, we can just grab it. Let's click and drag and put it where we want it to be. So you'll notice that the fort doesn't need to be resized. It's perfectly sized to fit from end to end of our play area.
You're welcome.
Our fort is in the correct position. And let's go ahead and change the background. So to do that, we'll click on the backdrops section in our stage and then click on the backdrop tabs next to the code tab. So you notice on the top here we have code, backdrops and sound. So click on the middle one, and in this window we'll be able to add in whatever background that we want. So we're going to keep this one simple. I'm just going to grab the square tool or the rectangle tool and make a nice big square. And then we're going to use these corners and I'm going to resize it so that it touches all the edges. Okay. And look, I just made another square. Okay, so if you've made a mistake, and actually it's a good thing I made a mistake, so now you know how to undo it, we just click on this undo button.
We learn from our mistakes.
That's the important thing. So we're going to change the color of this because purple is not the color of grass. So we click on the fill button and use these sliders to select a color. So this looks about right.
Could be a bit darker.
Okay, cool. Glad you mentioned that because to make it darker, we can use the brightness scale. And as we adjust it, the grass can become lighter or darker. What do you think?
That looks better.
Okay. We also have an outline on one edge, which is starting to annoy me. So I'm just going to click on this number and the outline is gone.
What was that number?
Oh, that was the number to control how thick the outline is. So because we don't want an outline, we can just set that to 0 and the outline will disappear. Okay, so we'll leave this at that for now and head back to the fort. So we'll click on the fort sprite and you'll notice that we're still in the costumes view and we can't actually start putting code in. To go back to the code view, just click on the code tab. All right. What should we do next?
I think now we can add the guard.
Almost. But I did foresee another problem. We can still move this fort. So if a player is playing the game and they accidentally move the fort, it's just gonna stay. And we don't want
Oh,
that.
yeah, that's a good point.
We always want the fort to be in that position. Right there. Right there. Okay. So let's start adding in our first code block. And this code block's purpose will just be to position the fort whenever we start the game. So to begin, we're going to head over to the events button, which is this yellow dot. And we're going to get a when green flag clicked. So the green flag is up here. Whenever this is clicked, the game starts. So we're saying whenever the game starts, do something. And we can scroll down in this view. And the piece we want next is forever. Zach, what does a forever do?
Well, a forever is a loop in your game that carries on forever.
Forever.
As long as the green flag is clicked, it's going to keep running. And to stop the game, you'd click on the red hexagon to stop the game. And then the forever will stop.
Cool. So we got the forever. The next thing is motion. We need to go to the motion section, which is the blue button right on the top. And we're looking for a piece that's called go to, and it has an X and a Y position. So we can drag that and put it inside the forever. Now, while building the game, I found that the best position for the fort is X 0 and Y 110. And that should position the fort on top exactly where we want it. So let's click the green flag. Actually, let's move the fort and then click the green flag.
And while the green flag is clicked, try moving the fort.
Oh.
And that's why it's forever. It's going to go to that position that you set, which is why we did it for the fort, because the fort doesn't move. It doesn't need to move in your game.
Cool.
But for the player, the guard, like we're going to add now, hopefully.
Do we still have time in this lesson? Yes, we do. I'm joking. Okay, so let's go ahead and add in the guard. So in this lesson, we won't add the movements for the guard, but we'll import the guard into our game and we'll position him on the fort. So let's hover over this cat icon, and then right on the top, click on upload a sprite, and then we'll find the guard. Let's see, it's called guard attack. That's the default guard position that we want. And select him and click open. Okay, so the guard, unlike the fort, has not been resized to fit our game. Thanks, Zach.
I can't do everything for y'all.
So this is actually a good opportunity for us to see how we can resize things inside Scratch.
That's what I had in mind.
I see.
That's why I did what I did.
Well, I'm sorry we underestimated you then.
I forgive you.
So the first thing I want to do is I want to change the name of the guard. So in the sprite control section, which is this little bar up here, we're given some useful information. The name, the X position, Y position, size, direction, and visibility. So I'm just going to take out this attack part and just leave this as guard. Okay. The next thing we're going to do is change his size. Now we can change the size by adjusting this number. Okay. So it's a bit of a trial and error situation. We have to type in a number, hit enter, and see if it fits. What number should we set it to?
Let's go with 75.
75. Okay.
Okay, I think that's still a bit big.
That's a bit big. He's hitting the front of the fort. That's not going to work for us.
I think a 50 would be perfect.
My guess exactly. Okay, that looks cool.
There we go.
So he can sit in the middle of the fort, and as we move him along, you see he has enough place behind him and in front of him. Okay, now finally, let's position the guard like we did the fort. So we're going to head over to the event section. We're going to grab a when green flag clicked. Then we're going to go to motion. And no, for this one, we're not going to use forever. And that's because, actually, why?
Well, the guard is going to have to move during the game, and so he cannot forever be stuck in that one position. You'll need to use the arrow keys to eventually move him.
I see. Okay, so if we did a forever, Then every time we move the guard, he'll just bounce back to that position.
Or he won't move at all. Yeah.
Okay, good point. So we'll just grab the go to, and the X position here, we'll just set it to 0. So he moves to the center of the screen. And for the Y position, I think it's 121. I think. Let me just... Okay, there we go.
So X is...
Uh-oh. I made the guard go away.
What have you done?
Oh. He's underneath the fort. Okay,
Well,
so that's a problem.
That's a good problem because we can work on a solution, and there's a very simple one. So if you navigate to your looks tab right on the side there, which we will explore a lot during this lesson more, but for now, let's take the go to front layer.
Okay.
Right, so that's looks, go to front layer, and drag that forever inside the fort. So it's gonna forever be the front, but obviously we're gonna change it from front to the back layer because we want it to be behind.
It worked. He's going behind.
There we go.
Okay, cool. Okay, so before I messed that up, I was explaining the X and Y axis. So if you remember in maths, the Y axis runs from the top to the bottom and the X axis runs from left to right.
If you need to remember, at the bottom of the screen, you can see that X has arrows pointing left and right, and Y has arrows pointing up and down next to the numbers.
Okay, I think that's perfect. So we'll stop this lesson here for now, and in the next lesson, we'll make the guard walk from left to right. But
that's going to be fun.
That is actually fun. My favorite part was actually the animations. But
Thank you.
Before we go, we need to save our work so we don't lose all of our files or all of our work when we launch Scratch again. To do that, we'll head over to File and then click on Save to your computer. Then we'll make sure that we go to the correct folder, which we know is Documents, Scratch Projects, and Castle Guard. And we can give this file a name. We'll just call it Castle Guard again. Okay, and then we hit save. Okay, and that's it for this lesson. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.